Let me ask you something. When pressure hits, does your team tighten up, break apart, or do they thrive? What I know from years of consulting is that when the moment gets chaotic, there's only one thing that holds up, and it's called adaptive cohesion. Adaptive cohesion. So the reason that most teams fail under pressure is because you're not training for chaos. You're always training for a controlled environment when things are perfect. But that's not real world. You've got to train for when things go wrong. So let me ask you this. Do you think that a SWAT team, an athletic team, the top corporate teams, do you think that they come up with many scenarios to run their drills through? When I did special operations, we had a plan A, plan B, plan C, and a Murphy's plan. And we trained all four of those relentlessly, time and time again. We just got the reps in so that if everything fell apart, we knew how to react and we knew how to adapt, hence adaptive cohesion. So last year in college football, Georgia played Georgia Tech. They went into eight overtimes, eight overtimes. And I've heard, for example, like the strength coach at University of Alabama, that they basically, their whole motto is training for the fourth quarter, training for the fourth quarter. Now, I guarantee you that because of that eighth overtime, these elite college football teams, they're now training, preparing for what if this happens? Because, yeah, it might not have happened in 30 years or 20 years, whatever the time frame was, but they want to be prepared because that's how they think. They want to be elite, and they don't want any sort of disruption to ruin their program. They want their athletes to be able to control the disruption to the best they can. They want to be able to adapt to the situation. So when we talk about adaptive cohesion, one example that came to mind was a pit crew, like NASCAR, Formula One, race car crew. Those guys are amazing. They have roughly 12 to 14 seconds to do the full change out of the tires, gas. I don't know their exact protocol, but it's very fast, right? Very, very fast, very small time sector. And there's multiple people. They don't talk. They know what to do. They know what their role is. They get it done. And from time to time, something goes wrong and they adapt as quickly as possible. And you think about that. A millisecond in that sport can cost them first place to second place. A millisecond, right? Every little tiny minute detail counts. So when you look at a Formula One crew, NASCAR crew, those guys' adaptive cohesion is parallels a SWAT team. They don't need to communicate. They all just know what they need to do. So what makes up adaptive cohesion? There's actually four principles. Principle number one of adaptive cohesion is role clarity. Everybody has to know their role. It's got to be clear as daylight. They got to know how much freedom they have. They got to know when to follow rules. They got to know where their zone of genius applies. Role clarity is important. Everybody has to know exactly what they got to do, and it doesn't deviate from that. It does not deviate from that. The next one is reps under fire. So just like I talked about plan A, plan B, plan C, and Murphy's plan, you've got to rep out when things go wrong, and you have to adapt. You've got to do that as a leader because that's the only way people are going to get comfortable in times of chaos. So think like perfect environment versus perfect storm, right? Train for that perfect storm. The perfect environment ends up being easier. The next one is feedback loops. And this is critical that feedback is direct. It's not personal, but it's holding people accountable, right? It's holding people accountable. So yeah, you want to be part of elite team, you got to have a little bit of tough skin. You got to be able to take it. You got to own your mistakes. So there's not no, like, oh, I don't know, I didn't like the way your tone was. No, that's not how elite teams operate. They function at a higher standard. It's not personal. It's about us being elite. And the last one is trust is earned. Trust is earned. So through those reps, think about it, trust increases, right? And that's the whole premise behind collective efficacy. As a team does more reps and they start getting that self-belief, which then they start getting that collective belief, they all start believing in one another. That trust, along with role clarity, reps under fire, and feedback is what makes adaptive cohesion. So leaders, If you're still just running workflows and perfect environments and you're wondering why your team crumbles when the pressure hits or a deadline hits and they're more worried about the deadline than getting the job done, it's because you're not preparing them. You're failing. As a leader, you're failing. You're not preparing them properly. So if you're serious, subscribe to my channel because what I focus on is creating elite teams that succeed under pressure.